All right. We're going live. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. First of all, I want to thank you all that continue to rock with me. The new subscribers that have just subscribed over here, don't forget to subscribe to my backup channel, my other Dorsey's Resource channel too. It should be in the description box. If not of the latest video until I transfer everything over, you can check the previous video where to follow me at on social media and my backup channels, and in case anything happens. So without further ado, the topic of this video is supposed to be banks to replace crypto exchanges. This is like an impromptu. I meant to add a question mark. I want to talk about that briefly. I didn't plan to be before you that long. I have an update. First, as usual, before we get started, I'm going to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for educational, informational, entertainment purposes only. Please understand that everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. Any event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is always encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. Please keep in mind everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Now to get into the topic, I spoke not too long ago with a source I have. By the way, I just want to put this out there for those wondering what's going on with the reset, the dinar. I hear they changed a lot of things. They've changed, and this was brought to me some years ago. They've changed the whole banking system around, and it's got a major revamp, and it's in the midst of unfolding and taking place. And I received some more critical information recently that was kind of relayed to share with those to get prepared, those that are in the know, that are into cryptos, which they're going to stop calling them. They're going to start referring to them as digital assets. And my source already told me behind the scenes, whose name I'm not saying, that there's regulations that are going to come down the pipeline. And I see that unfolding. And I wanted to put a message out there before I forget to those involved in meme tokens. He warned me recently. He said to be careful getting involved in tokens that don't have any use case utility, because there's a certain select tokens that have been chosen by the most powerful people in the world. And I don't say this lightly just to be saying this, to bring up that word I use. Some are afraid to say I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Illuminati, the ruling class elite, they have chosen certain select tokens that they're going to decide they want these to basically replace Bitcoin, Ethereum, to be the lead runners. And it's a reason why they're holding everything back. My source told me this is the reason why they're suppressing the crypto market, which goes hand in hand with the stock market as well. And he advised me there's a reason. So my message to all the developers out there, the devs that are involved, I don't know, I'm not as advanced, but I do pay attention to channels, because there is a token, you guys know, I've shared with you all that I am invested in, but I didn't go, I was a bit nervous. I didn't get any more of this particular token after what I was told. And I was actually, I won't really go into too much into that, but I'm not an expert, but I was informed the developers out there, I still listen to Currency 365 and TC's channel, by the way. And I did see a video where Currency was pushing the developers with Shibarium to hurry up and do what you have to do. And I would say for those involved in Luna Classic or Luna Token, developers, the community is going to need to really have to come together if you want to see that thing move, because my source told me you have him up until about March next year. And he said it's the reason why they're suppressing the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, why the market, because, if you know about the market, Bitcoin is like the lead token. And there's a saying how does that saying go? When there's a rising tide, it raises all boats. So whenever Bitcoin goes up, all the rest of the tokens, as you know from previous history, they have a tendency to do well and everybody's happy when there's a bull market. And you guys know we've been in a cold bear market since like November of last year. It's just a brutal bloodbath with the way they've been holding the cryptos down. That's not a coincidence. There's a methodology, just like they can manipulate the commodities market, the silver, the gold, through the futures, the COMEX exchange, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I was informed. Once again, I'm not an expert, but my source is very knowledgeable in that regard and told me about these things some years ago. And they're doing the same thing to cryptocurrencies, by the way, which ties in with the stock markets. The reason why stocks and stuff are down, or certain ones that are not normally up, because they have a tendency to mirror each other. A lot of the top guys, I told a friend of mine that's involved in stocks more so than cryptos. I shared with them most of the top people who are experts in cryptocurrency are involved in both. They do both stocks and cryptos. Me personally, I've never purchased stocks before. I didn't know too much. I have already been informed. I know about Robinhood. I know about Webull, eToro. I've talked with a friend of his friend who had a securities license, by the way. And then I had a friend who was a broker, by the way, a good friend, and actually showed me his personal portfolio, by the way, because there was just so many different things to get into nowadays with the way technology's moving fast and so much to keep up with. And I'm still punching the clock, believe it or not. And I had to take time aside to research even cryptos before I got involved in that, which they're going to start calling digital assets, by the way. Once he was telling me, and the regulations are coming in. So that's why you see on certain exchanges, if they're asking you to submit a W-9 form or tax information, because they want a cut of that. But my source also shared with me his concern about the criminality that's going on with the SEC. That stands for, it's an acronym for Securities Exchange Commission. As many of you all know, they have an ongoing lawsuit with the cryptocurrency XRP Ripple. By the way, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I hear allegedly that that's been controlled and they're dragging their feet. And some of the guy that's the head of that SEC, I think I've heard Gary Gensler or whatever, the current guy, they play favoritism with certain coins. And I hear that this is a big plot anyway for the bigger picture, that the elites want to have their own Bitcoin. And the title of the video, which I'm going to lead into right now, where I titled something like "The Banks to Take Over Crypto Exchanges." I forgot when I spoke to my source very recently, I forgot about this, that he mentioned again from the previous couple videos I did. Before the last video, I did 2 videos back to back before the most recent one I put out, where I talked about the changeover. And that was from direct notes from a very reliable private source who's in the know, and shared with me that the banks, they want you, the major banks, for example, like Bank of America, just to throw a few names, Chase, PNC, Citibank, Wells Fargo, they want you to go through them, he was telling me. And I said, oh, snap. I said, whoa. So they literally, this is a warning, too, to the guys, the experts, because I'm rooting for you guys. I admire you guys, that because I know that the concept was for it to be decentralized. But the same cabal people, as I was listening to a video, very good video that Currency did about the development team at Shibarium, you guys, they need to hurry up and do what they're going to do, because my source is telling me you have until March, and they're doing their damnedest. Because I'm going to say sum up, and I remember Dorsey, I say my own name, well, Currency did an updated video and said Dorsey was right, or warned us, and he mentioned some other people, that they're using the monetary system as a weapon, debt, to keep us enslaved, impoverished. And there's only one guy out there that I really follow, who's on some other platforms. I won't say his name because he's knowledgeable, but some of you all that are in the know, that know who he is. He mentions he analyzes, breaks down things really well with the scripture translated. He's an analyst of time, he mentions. And there's some things on the horizon. And it's the reason I'm not going to say his name or go into the details about who he is, because I have bad people, unfortunately, guys, just to give you a warning. out there. There's gatekeepers. I warned you guys in the past, a long time ago. There's underlinks, minions, people that don't have our best interest at heart. And they're gatekeepers that are working in cahoots with the ruling class. They have their minions and underlinks and bad people that report to them and say, oh, they're trying to do this or they're trying to become free, and they don't want us accessing wealth. And a good example of this, a friend of mine that said for years he was on the fence about the stuff dealing with sovereignty or redemption education. And he told me not too long ago he knows that it's real. What I've been telling him, what I've been warning about for years, he actually apologized to me and said, man, you were right. He sees now because he's taking these classes through Grant Cardone, who I've heard about before. He went to some seminars and he likes the information. I told him I know about a lot of that stuff already. The people, I have a good friend that told me about that knows the corporate world about street hustling, making money, different streams of income to become a millionaire, the type of mindset, the mentality you have to change. So my friend, he's becoming more aware, but I've known for a number of years. I've warned him and very sincerely and came to him, and I just, he didn't understand at the time, and we kind of bump heads, but he tells me he sees what I'm talking about now because he sees things that are unfolding and some things he told me recently. I'm not going to really go into details or repeat, but he basically gets it. They're using the banking system. But one of the things he told me, I'm just going to use this as an example. If you remember the GameStop situation when the guys from Reddit had planned to do the short squeeze situation with the hedge fund. Somebody wanted me to do a video about that, and I would have to take my notes to basically explain what that was to you guys, because I'm not in my expertise. I'm not an expert when it comes to the finances in that regard to explain, because I've never purchased stocks before. I get the concept, similar to how people buy and hold cryptocurrencies, aka digital assets. By the way, you buy low, you sell back high. Like I used to hear even Trump say many years ago with real estate, the concept of anything, you buy low, you sell back high, or you take something, you take a product, you get it at a low rate, and then you sell it. And that's what stores basically do with retail. Retail is markup. That's what you have. Wholesale places like Sam's Club, Costco, those are wholesale places. But a friend of mine actually told me you have manufacturer rate where they get their stuff in cheaper. Say if you got it at that price, they're paying, it's going to even be even cheaper. And with the concept that some people do is take a product, if they can duplicate it or produce it themselves, if it's through intellectual property, and they'll sell it, marked up, or for more of this value to try to either double their profit, triple the profit, or whatever they feel that whatever it is they're offering is valued at. So I was aware. I'm glad my friend, he's become more aware, astute financially. He isn't bucking heads with me, because I used to tell him years ago, a lot of the people who are in the spirituality, it's like they would hate against money, people having money or wealth. But then again, I said I saw this from a lot of liberals years ago before I understood what liberalism was, or Democrats that always would criticize, said Republicans are for the rich. But when you look at these Democratic politicians, they were very lucrative. They would come into office broke, as my friend pointed out, or not as wealthy, and then they would come out millionaires. One example of this he shares with me is Barack Obama. I remember they mentioned when he came into office, they said what his net worth was. I guess the concept similar when he was running against Hillary, how they write a book and how much the book deal was between him and his net worth. And they said it was around like 4 or 5 million. I remember when they mentioned this. I remember when he first got in office, they made him get rid of his BlackBerry. Well, then he complained about it. So I heard what they did is they gave him one that was secure, that they were able to basically resecure control. But remember, they didn't want him to have it. That was in the media when he first got in office. If you guys have a good memory, I have a good memory. By the way, those of you all who can remember this, and they mentioned what his net worth was, and you know how much he's worth now. He actually, I heard, was informed, Barack Obama, because I'm a big fan of basketball, is in talks to buy the Phoenix Suns from the disgraced owner, Robert Sarver, by the way. I was surprised. But he's gone, and I had already heard he was worth over $500 million. Going to, so he's already, and same with LeBron James. they're going to be billionaires. By the way, while the rest of many of the population are not getting wealthier and are getting poor, and these people who claim to be for social justice, and many of them don't speak out about reparations, something I actually fully support. And my friend knows he's a conservative Republican. He doesn't support reparations, and I do though. I tell him that, because I said if I was a registered voter, I would lean more. I do lean more to the right. I admit that, but I do know my history about the Democratic Party. They were the party of slavery, the party of KKK. You can look it up. They were the party that created the black codes. The Democratic Party instituted, implemented the Jim Crow laws. You can look this up. The Democratic Party was the ones responsible for burning Black Wall Street down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, predominantly black population. Because remember, the Ku Klux Klan, the chapters at that time, they were Democrat. The Democrats controlled the South. They didn't totally switch over to Republicans like Dr. Claude Anderson. He's slightly flawed on that. Big kudos to Dr. Claude. He did many things, was on the front lines. I found out was fighting behind the scenes for reparations on behalf of black people. From one of my elite sources I have, it told me he was on Dr. Boyce Watkins' show that Obama was aware. He confronted Obama and put stuff and begged Obama, and Obama didn't want to pass reparations. But I hear because so much pressure is being put, and that was one of my next videos I was working on. I was going to do is why I support reparations. And I had been meaning to do for a while. I postponed it, but I actually already had notes taken a while ago. And a subscriber that I've told personally, who's down in the South Carolina area, I haven't spoken to her in a while. Hope she's well. She comes out of the movement. She told me some very powerful people. I was surprised that she knew from back in the day, Khalid Muhammad, Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, some people names I heard back in the day before my time, soldiers on the front lines. I still care about my people, my black melanated people, because all these other groups got reparations. The Jewish community in Obama actually increased reparations for the European Jews, I'm gonna say, because we are the real Jews, by the way. We didn't convert to Judaism. They when you know the history and you look at that region of the world, you go to my Instagram account, I showed a map that shows the Caucasus Mountains. That's why they call white people Caucasian. You can't be both and claim you're anti-Semitic. We're the Semitic people. Semi-Semitic means to be mixed. Semi means to be part of, like you have a semi truck. It's part of the truck, the part in the back. We're the mixed people. And I can even point to historical facts that if you go back and watch the Sydney Olympics, because I have a good memory, I remember the reporter Bob Costas from NBC News did a story on an Aboriginal woman from Australia. You know how the Olympics, they virtue signal, because a lot of times they lean more to the left, they're more liberal, but they come up with these stories, and they showed, and I didn't even know at the time as I was becoming aware, and they put coded messages out there, kind of like they tell the story of Richard Pryor some years ago when he saw there were people, they did like a skit on one of the shows working in Africa and the pyramids, and he saw people that looked like us, but they covered up, whitewashed a lot of the history to keep us from learning the truth about who we really are. And they fear that melanated black people waking up. And it's even a quote allegedly by Malcolm X that never let a black man become something. I forget the exact quote. Some of you all may have heard about that statement. They fear an intelligent black man. And I'm not saying this to push any agenda, but I support reparations because I feel that is something, and I know, I shouldn't say feel, I know that that's not right. The United States government has not repaired the damage that has been done, the atrocities to black people, African Americans, melanated people in this country compared to other ethnic groups that Dr. Claude is right, that received forms of reparations. And the Jews, for something that happened all the way over in Germany, the Caucasian European Jews, to be more specific, by the way, there were only 2 black news channels that reported on this. They received an increase under President Obama, former President Obama. Dr. Boyce Watkins reported on this, and the Africa Diaspora channel, Philip Scott, who rebranded his channel under Africa Diaspora, was the only 2 channels that I heard that reported when Obama increased earmarks. So here it is. He didn't want black people to originally have reparations because behind the scenes, I found out Dr. Claude Anderson showed or detailed the evidence to Dr. Boyce Watkins on the White House's website, something where they submitted it, And Obama, they knew, was fully aware, and he ignored it. And the only reason Obama is acknowledging it now, just be aware of this, because I know some people watch my channel, some of the pro-black people, and think I'm, scared to talk about this stuff, but I'm not. I still really do care about my people, and I care about our success. And I do know the history. That's not a coincidence. Why there's a major wealth disparity, and why many black people, melanated people, are not as financially literate and economically literate as we should be, because there was systemic problems with, redlining that took place years ago, where they wouldn't give black people housing loans. That stuff is real. J. Magnus Ogunaki, Color of Change, they talked about that. That's why I give truth. I call a spade, but some of this stuff is not political, whether you're Democrat or Republican. These are real issues that affect my people, and people like to play games back and forth. But I encourage black people, melanated people that are out there that hear this, continue the fight for reparations. Do not let them get away with this, because the Jewish community received reparations. Japanese Americans during World War II internment camps. Remember that, what happened with Pearl Harbor, and some members of the Native American population, by the way. And Dr. Claude Anderson, where he's more well-studied than I am in this regard, explained how other groups and other forms received forms of reparations. And when they passed in 1965, I think it was, don't quote me on it, after Kennedy was assassinated and Lyndon Baines Johnson took over, and they passed it was called the entitlement programs. I was informed by my source, black people cannot inherit food stamps and welfare. Get that out of your mind. Yes, it was a form. It was meant to try to help. And God bless Dr. Claude Anderson. Many don't know I found this out. He also was the one on the front lines that lobbied on affirmative action, which mostly African-American women down the road and white women were able to benefit off of mostly. And the reason why is because at one time, the black woman was considered a double minority, because corporations that had a quota to be able to hire so many minorities on staff at the time, black woman was considered a double minority, because she was not only black, but she was also considered a woman as well. So they got what's called 2 for 1. And it was around the time the feminist movement, the women's liberation movement, which was funded by the Rockefeller and Ford Foundation, which is now declassified. Gloria Steinem admitted she was an agent by J. Edgar Hoover. I said to myself, the night that Hillary lost to Trump in that contentious election, by the way, I said, who is this white woman that I recognize that's sitting right next to Hillary Clinton? And I told a friend of mine, sure enough, because I have not only a good memory, a good partial photographic memory, I said, I recognize that was Gloria Steinem, by the way. And she recruited a black woman by the name of Michelle Wallace, because Saharzad Ali mentioned in the movie, this is how they destabilize and they attack the black community. This is another reason why we need reparations, because they did things to mess with the family structure. By the way, it's not a coincidence when we had implants that train Marxists and things of that sort to come up with these different agendas and deceive our people and get away from rebuilding what would really help and make the black community stronger, where it used to be fundamentally strong when we had more fathers in the household. This is a historical fact. Anybody out there cannot debate this or refute what I'm saying right now. Is a historical fact. If you look up, when there was more black fathers in the households of black communities, we were more successful as a people. But there was a methodology with the elites, and they're planning to do stuff to attack everybody. But I'm just saying, to my own family, speaking to my own race of people, just like you care about your own immediate loved ones and your own family, because other races try to come in and deviate and take away from the subject. But I mean, my people, black people, have been done wrong. It's well overdue. The rapper Nipsey Hussle said this, rest in peace to the work he was doing. The marathon will continue. He talked about reparations are overdue. The rapper Tupac, many of these people have been on the front lines. They have been persecuted, just like Kanye West and what Kyrie Irving are going through. They may just have different ideologies. But Lauryn Hill, sister, I forget, Queen Sister Lauryn Hill was one of them. You might not hear too much about who won many awards years ago. She stood up to the establishment, by the way. So people reminded me, I forgot about Lauryn Hill and Tupac, by the way. They said some stuff too, so don't forget about that. This is not nothing new what happened with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, because I've been quiet for a while, I didn't weigh in, but the Jewish community of America owes us. The Semitic people, the original Semites, we are the Semites, the black people, melanated people, we're Semitic, because Semitic means to be mixed, a part of. Those people that converted to Judaism, they're European Jews, to be more specific, call themselves Hasidic Jews, black Jews, and it was missionaries years ago, the Falashas, the Ethiopians, and others, that when they converted, when you study the history behind it, I'm not going to go into the details, but it is out there. And if you look at that map, the region of the world, it tells you parts of Khazaria, the Caucasus Mountains, and you hear on the news, that's another word they call white people, is Caucasian. It's not a coincidence. You know, historically, when you look up and you research the correct information. But I'm not saying this, I didn't mean to get off a subject or kind of deviate, but these are issues that I'm passionate about, and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up down the road where I planned on covering that topic, dealing with reparations. Is one of the topics that I wanted to delve into, and I've been saying that for a while. I've held off. I actually already have notes, but I do feel, and I shouldn't say just feel, I know it's long overdue, because there's many atrocities. And as I named what happened to the Jewish community for something that happened overseas, Obama gave them reparations while he was in office. Obama also went out of his way to do things for the alphabet community, by the way, and made excuses and said, this is why I'm the president for everybody. And black people, we did not hold him accountable, by the way. And he had the ability to do these things. But when you delve deeper, some other things. But so when you hear recently he's in support, you know, that's because a lot of pressure. Big shout out to Africa Diaspora, Tariq Nasheed, and other activists out there who are putting pressure, because this is a major issue. This is a human rights issue. Black melanated people and black men specifically, as I tell a friend of mine, were on the front lines. A friend of mine had a similar experience that I did. He lived with the pastor and his wife some years ago. He moved from Maryland, specifically the Burden family, to be more specific. And he explained to me, Miss Burden had told him years ago there was a group of black women that had confronted Martin Luther King and asked him behind the scenes, could he put himself on the front lines to be the face of the civil rights struggle? And he agreed. And I was shocked when he actually told me this. This is what Mrs. Burden told him. She was the wife of Pastor Burden he stayed with in Southfield, Michigan, some years ago. My friend is a very well-studied, equivalent of a 5-star historian. I still cross-reference. He knows my other friend that's a historian, and we're very well-studied. He knows a lot about the Hebrew Israelites. That's how, if you guys wonder how I know a lot about these secret societies, these Masons, these Eastern Stars, some of these people. I'm not saying some of these people mean well, but some of these people are agents, and they're reporting back, or they're Boule. If you know about the Boule community, that's what Steve Coakley, rest in peace to brother Steve Coakley. He was like an investigative journalist. Similar, he was like a black version of Alex Jones that did journalism years ago before Alex Jones blew up. Steve Coakley exposed a lot about the Boule. He used to work for the mayor's office in Chicago, and I found out he was asked to investigate while these brothers down at Howard University were astute graduates out of their respective high schools, and he was wondering why they weren't getting their degrees. And it was because he found out from his investigation there was a power structure that was suppressing, keeping these black men specifically because they had not pledged. They weren't part of a fraternity. The same can go for sisters. They weren't part of a sorority. You see, so they put in these mechanisms, these Boule people, it's even on them, some of them have been responsible for keeping us from having reparations. And what's her name? Vicky Dillard did a very good video recently with Africa Diaspora Channel that showed where Gil King did a story or some type of report and mentioned how the Democratic Party and that report she did not support reparations as well at the time. But I heard about what happened in California. Big shout out. I mean, there may be issues I don't agree with, but I do agree with California allocating black residents, foundational black Americans specifically, because I was informed that people who are from the Caribbean, from the islands, they have to petition to the respective governments that were involved in their transatlantic slave trade. And I just read an article earlier today. We're about to go into the next day real soon from now. We're about to go into the 20th. but I read an article that the Dutch prime minister had apologized for their role that they participated in slavery, by the way. And in the same article that I bookmarked, there was an article from the Chicago Tribune, and it talked about in 1992 that Pope John Paul II made an apology for the Catholic churches, their role in slavery. This is powerful. And there was some things I did a previous video talking about, but the main topic of this video wasn't evolved around that, but I just happened to go into that subject. I'm going to shift back into the topic of the video was dealing with banks potentially switching over to blockchain, by the way, which I was informed, and also I was informed the banks want to be the new crypto exchanges. By the way, they want to take over the other exchanges, and this is coming from high up. So I apologize for getting off track, guys, but that's why I just wanted to give you all a preview of what's coming down the road. Other topics that I want to cover that I'm passionate about. By the way, I'm going to read the comment section to acknowledge you all that are here. Darren Jackson says, good looking out for us little people. Thank you, Darren, for joining. Chi Vegas says, peace, Dorsey. Appreciate you. Chi, Richie Rich says, great info. As always, appreciate you, Richie Rich. Appreciate y'all. Thank you all once again for rocking with me. If you get a chance, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It helps me rank higher in the search results. Share this video. Tell somebody about the channel. Help the channel grow. The more you guys support me, show support, show love, I'll be able to go into more details. Down the road, I have things planned to maybe even do webinars, Zoom meetings, and maybe the first big event I might have just free, open to everybody. By the way, I'm thinking about doing something like that before I start, charging or asking donations. By the way, just do something free for everybody. And yeah, so I appreciate you guys that continue to rock with me, that do stay loyal to the channel. And once again, so I'm just going to finish going over the information that I was informed. My source told me that if you're involved in cryptocurrencies and the developers of like Shibarium, it's advised they better hurry up, because I heard the window that they have is up until March. It's coming from high up that the ruling class, they're dead serious. And I heard they may even get rid of Bitcoin, that Bitcoin isn't fully ISO certified, because they want to take over and have their own version of Bitcoin. And some of you guys know I'm not going to repeat those particular cryptocurrencies that are like the top 6 that are the ISO interledger system. That's part of the international payment system, and certain countries are already using parts of the system. And even, for example, XRP, I found out there's an XRPL being transacted in England. I forgot that deals with their ledger system. I forgot that's in my notes, but some of you guys that are more involved know what I'm talking about. The few that do listen to me, I know some of you guys that follow my Twitter handle, are big into crypto. I'm not as knowledgeable as some of you guys that know about. I do know about DeFi. Those are decentralized exchanges, decentralized finances. I know a little bit about hexes. Some of these models follow certificates of deposits and different amenities that banks has, because it's meant to try to replace the controlled cabal banking system. By the way, that was the purpose. But however, the elites want to come in, as always, they want to control everything. So it's going to take a collective effort. To give you guys a heads up, you're going to need to rally your communities to beat the well somehow, and to get purchase Luna Classic, Shiba Inu. Just focus on those meme tokens. Don't go into too many other ones right now. Focus on the ones that have a large community, that have some use case utility, because they want to get rid of those as well. And this is what I'm being told. They're very serious, and my source is real. He means this. And just literally, I saw there's a particular exchange I was part of, and they were asking for a W-9 form. I just happened to see an email all of a sudden saying they're going to terminate my account. And I was like, gang, they're just doing this stuff abruptly. If you notice, Coinbase Pro got rid of Coinbase Pro part, and they migrated everybody over to just the regular Coinbase. So something's on the horizon, because my source had told me going back in the summer, these regulations are coming down the road. And he also said the reason why it's taking longer than expected, he said the big banks are actually ready. to go right over. It's just some of the smaller banks are not prepared yet, are not ready, and he said that's why it's been delayed until March. So I'm just putting a heads up out there. If Currency 365 is listening, which I know he does listen sometimes, that you guys can get in touch with him. Let him know. Get in touch with those developers. But you guys are gonna really need to push Shiba Inu hard and Luna and get the Goodwills, network with the Goodwills out there that can do stuff to stop, from the manipulation taking place, because they're obviously using that. My source told me that's why Bitcoin, Ethereum, they've been suppressed, pushed down, because they should have long had their breakouts, and they've been being held back from those of you all that know how to read the charts and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give a warning out there. This stuff is real. So once again, I appreciate you guys that rock with me. I'm gonna read the rest of the comments again. I said Elohim Creation says 100. Appreciate you. Hold the line says Dorsey. Yeah, appreciate you. Said hold the line says Bank of England Ripple partner. Ripple has recently advertised in England. Yeah, that's what I heard. They're already using the XRPL in England. That's part of the ISO certification ledger system. Remember, I did 2 previous videos before the video that I recently did on Bandot video about the alternative independent media sites to go to keep up on the news, because the mainstream media, there's a lot of state propaganda, by the way, that's coming from the mainstream. It's not so much the alternative, the independent media. It's really the mainstream media, because they want to control the narrative. So I warn you guys, if you know someone that has a big following, that's a content creator or influencer, you want to have as a backup, look into sites like Rumble, Brighteon, Band.video, BitChute, and there's also other versions of Twitter. There's one called Getter, and you want to start migrating your platform, your followers over to these other sites. So in case they try to cancel you, you won't be canceled. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what there's up the sleeve of these dirty elites, these devils, these elite scumbags, but that don't mean us well. So that's why we need the public collectively to step up. That those of us that are awake to the truth, continue to spread the word to your loved ones. Don't be afraid, because I told a friend of mine, it's second nature. A lot of people know what the Illuminati is, or they know who Alex Jones is, or InfoWars. So you don't seem like, or gotta sound like you're a conspiracy theorist, or they'll say somebody who flew over the cuckoo's nest. No, I'm a perfectly sane individual, and people are awake. And I hear the elites are actually scared. So many people are waking up, but we also have to take action, and we need politicians that are going to do their job, and you need to hold their feet to the fire and make sure and stay on top of them that they're going to do their jobs. And this, everybody's job is not the same. So that includes even people that are not registered voters. You can still support a political party in another way, another capacity. There's other things that you can do. You can spread the word. I told a friend of mine, just like you have people that are covert, you need people that are overt. But you need people, awake people that are on all fronts of the line. That's why the military has different departments, different divisions to cover land, air, sea, and water. They can't just be on one or the other. The more people you have that are awake to spread the word, to warn us, because these elites out here, the ruling class, don't have our best interest at heart. This eugenics is real. They want to depopulate the world. Yuval Noah Harari, who's the advisor of Klaus Schwab with the World Economic Forum, talked about we no longer need people, and they refer to us as useless eaters. This is real. They want to kill us. They want to murder us. That's why they use the so-called, poison shot. By the way, that many of you all I've spoken with privately and shared very graphic stories. And people that are in very professional positions even warn me not to take it. Myself, I appreciate that. Kudos to the sister. I won't put her name out there, but I appreciate her warning me. And the other 2 sisters out there, other queens I spoke with, empresses, that warned me what the vaccine did to people that they knew or loved ones. This stuff is real. And if you go to Band.video, they have a compilation video to show not only what happened here, but worldwide. So yeah, there's major pushback on that. And don't let these demons get away with what they did. Hold their feet to the fire. And even though they think they can't be sued. They can be sued. They aren't immune. It's just you got to just get with some good lawyers learn, study the legal system. You can become a pro se litigant or go pro per and put some paperwork together, GSA bonds. It's some heavy paperwork out there. I heard some of those GSA bonds are so powerful they can shut a whole city down if you know what you're doing. So don't think, collectively. I'm just giving you guys, empowering you all. We're going to have to work collectively because these people are actively working behind the back 24/7 to enslave us and hurt humanity. And this will affect your children of the future and your grandchildren if you have any. If we don't do something now to stop these demonic forces that are taking over, that don't have our best interest at heart, we won't have a future, and your children won't have a future. They will be enslaved and it'll be, if not impossible, to come out of that. So that's why I continue to spread the word to you guys and warn you all. And it's coming from the World Economic Forum. They don't have our best interests at heart. They pretend to be the good guys, but they're not. These are very evil, sinister people. And they meet with politicians. Davos Group is a cover or daylight version of the Bilderberg. By the way, if you guys have heard of the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, that Zbigniew Brzezinski was a member of years ago, many of these ruling class, they have to be eugenicists. They have to be part of population reduction, stuff like that's eugenics. Remember the Margaret Sanger, if you guys know about that, who Hillary Clinton said was her idol, by the way. Just something to keep in mind. Who's the good guys and the bad guys? They will show their true colors. Some of them tell on themselves, show who they are, and protect those who who are awake to the truth. Because we have an army just like they have an army. So they can't just do what they used to do to people when we got eyes and ears all over listening as well. I hear really they're scared for real because they know they can go to jail. Their diplomatic immunity, their secret security clearances they have. I had one friend of mine, a guy I met, told me, let me know that anybody can be touched. They're not invincible because that gets in the common law. When you violate the Nuremberg codes, you break laws, and these people can be dealt with. I'm just leave it at that. When they've committed treason, there's still laws on the books. Now, the question is a matter of who enforces it, because I know there was talk about constitutional sheriffs out here, so we don't have a lot. There's people that have sold out, but you can form paperwork and put things together like what Carrie Lake is going through in Arizona and get constitutional sheriffs together to arrest Katie Hobbs for what she did. I know from the outside looking in, I'm in Michigan, and I was telling a friend of mine how powerful, but people got to come together, and stop these minions from doing what they're trying to do. As you guys obviously see, if you read between the lines, these minions, underlings, and gatekeepers, by the way, that work on behalf of the ruling class scumbags, also known aka as the Illuminati, by the way. And so the model behind what they do is every summer, normally around the end of May going into the early part of June, the Bilderberg, they meet in a different country and they summons CEOs, mayors, presidential candidates in different countries to lay out what their agenda is. This is how they manipulate governments and things around the world. So you need to be aware of who they are and go up against policies that affect the general public. And also the World Health Organization. We need people to combat these organizations that don't have our best interest at heart. By the way, that are doing wrong, that are breaking international laws, that are hurting humanity. This is a human rights issue, what I'm going over. So you need to recognize who these people are and get involved in the fight. Take action. That's why I say support Alex Jones. He's the tip of the spear. That's why they're coming after him. It's not just him. Because guess what, guys? I hear there's people that reminded me Trump made a statement. He said, they're not really after me. They're after you. He said, I'm just in the way. Think about that. He says, they're not really after me. Notice that you always see something in the news every day about Trump this, Trump that. You know why? Because overall, I'm not saying the man is perfect, but overall, he's America first. He isn't selling us out to the New World Order, what's called globalism. It's nationalism. It's where you support your country. That's where we have our gas prices are cheaper where we're using our own coal, our own energy supplies that we have, where we don't need to rely on outsiders because we weren't benefiting from the trade deals. Many didn't understand that, where other countries were getting better incentives than we were. Trump, he was trying to level things out. He's a nationalist. Remember, the globalists, they want to replace even your local politicians and bring in their own UN, United Nations tribunal. Think of that. Your own local state politicians, they want to replace them. So I don't know, a lot of these liberals need to wake up and get it through their thick skull. Their ass is going to get replaced if they go along with this New World Order shit. I hate to be frank. Excuse my French. But I told a friend of mine, this startled some people who are politicians. I said, yeah, if they are successful, remember, it's going to take a collective effort. I don't know how things are going to play out, but I know it's going to depend on people spreading the word, fighting back against this, waking up, just like the people in Brazil that know that guy Lulu did not win. Bolsonaro, that's the guy they tried to assassinate a while ago. I found out about. He was in a crowd, and he was the current president. And the Brazilians know they didn't even know who this guy was that they let out of jail, this Lulu guy. And there's a revolt going on. And I say, if the Brazilian people, if you guys don't get justice, those that can translate or have relatives down there that can speak Spanish for the Latin people, the fight down there for your love of the people, for Brazil, the Brazilians of the indigenous population that know Bolsonaro won, you're going to have to fight, take to the streets, team up with your military that knows Bolsonaro ran, and get that Lulu guy out of there. Even if you have to do what you got to do, it's going to come to that, because you got patriots and people in America that are willing to fight. So you got to, understand these evil scumbag ruling class are not going to give up at trying to enslave us. Look at what they did with that poison shot. And they didn't have full approval. They came up with this fake emergency approval thing. I'm just saying, if you read between the lines, look at what they did. So you guys know I'm spitting real facts, and I'm warning you all. I go over high-powered information, so you guys know what to do in case this video tips the spear and they try to call it misinformation or medical misinformation. No, I didn't go into all the details, so it shouldn't be classified as that. And I did give a disclaimer in the beginning, but this shows you what the scumbags are doing behind the scenes. Because a friend of mine that's a historian told me YouTube is regulated by the ADL. I didn't know that. Who happens to censor a lot of videos, and actually had a speaker that spoke against Alex Jones at an event they had, because he's waking people up and warning people, and they want people programmed and brainwashed. They want you believing CNN. A friend of mine just told me at his daughter's school in Novi, Michigan, they got a CNN for kids. He found out, he was stunned. Said they're indoctrinating the children. It shows you they want to brainwash the children, because the independent media was kicking their butts so bad. Remember, CNN was losing viewership, but they want you programmed. So no, they're the real enemies. And by the way, this is not also a black or white thing. Obama and Bush, I heard around last month, the 6th, 17th, or 18th, held simultaneous conferences on so-called misinformation to combat it. And Alex Jones gave the behind-the-scenes details, said they're going to ask down the road for the military to disappear people or pick people up for like the information I'm going over, sharing with you guys. So imagine that's what him and Bush simultaneously in different cities, different states, were holding what they call disinformation conferences, because they're losing control. Like Hillary said some years ago, they're losing the information war. You guys remember that quote? Some of you guys remember that. But look at what these people are doing. So that's not Trump, that's the tyrannical. Bush and Obama, they held simultaneous conferences. This really happened. This was reported on. I read the articles from time to time from InfoWars. And they're asking, or they're going to ask, well, see, they don't have full control of the police and the military yet. That's why they're pushing all this stuff on the media that the police are the bad guys nowadays. Remember, the police used to be known as the good guys overall. Now, you do have people, bad apples out there in anything, any line of work. But that's the reason why the mainstream media, they hype that up, because the globalists, they don't have control of the police and military. The police and military, are some of the most awake groups. So that's the reason why they're pushing a lot of the things with that and changing things. You guys can read between the lines. But that's what Bush and Obama were both lobbying for. Bush Jr. You know, two different political parties. Remember, Bush was a Republican, really a neoconservative, a rhino Republican in name only. Many of them, see how did him and Obama become cool? I remember they used to be enemies, and they both teamed up against Trump. So that proves Trump is an outsider. How was Obama and Bush Jr. all cool all of a sudden, all lovey-dovey? What's up with that? Maybe because they're also Masons, traveling men. You get it, the connection. They part of the Illuminati. Ah, you're onto something there, Dorsey. Yeah, because I'm very well studied. That's why. Something that you guys can do as well. You know, that's why I encourage you guys to read, stay in the fight. So I continue to go over high-powered information to wake you guys up. But that's my time. I didn't mean to really be before you guys that long. But the title of the video was what the banks plan on replacing the crypto exchanges from what I'm being told. That means the banks, they want you to come to them instead of going through Coinbase or Gemini, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, with some other major banks, even credit unions. They're members of the Federal Reserve. They want you coming through them to buy your crypto so they can control it better, regulate it. So that's what the elites are up to. So if you guys know of Currency 365, warn him, get the information out. The developers that are part of some of the meme tokens, etc., you're going to need to hurry up and don't wait, because they mean business. And he told me they plan on getting rid of a whole lot of other cryptos. And even if that's why he said they've been holding the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum down. So I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, because I did hear about the halving event that Bitcoin was down because of that. But I heard it's being suppressed, that it was supposed to have broken out already. Because remember when they were predicting 100,000, it looks like that's been delayed. Even that was supposed to hit last year, even though it's high, it only went up to 69,000, and they've been holding it down. But just keep in mind, you want to hurry up, just like Currency 365 said about Shibarium, or else you're not going to have a meme token, because they mean business. That's what my source basically said. So it's a race against time. So you guys are empowered. You guys have the info. Warn the good guys, the people in the fight, and the marathon will continue. Legends never die. They stay in our hearts. Stay woke. Once again, the marathon will continue. Appreciate you guys rocking with me. Oh yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, check the description box beneath the video after uploads, or check my previous videos where to follow me. And may the force be with you guys. Until next time, peace out. Deuces.